Welcome to the Beer Drinking Olympics, where the world's beer drinking giants will battle it out to see who comes home with a medal. For each of the top 30 nations, I'll be putting my spin on one of their classic beer snacks and pairing them with a unique beer style. The Beer Drinking Olympics will be judged on events such as total beer production and total beer consumption. These events will heavily favour countries with bigger populations, so the beer drinking per capita event has been given by far the most importance, allowing a fighting chance for those beer-loving nations with smaller populations. And some countries will even have their rankings boosted to recognise their rich history of beer drinking culture and their development of their own unique beer styles. This quite possibly overcomplicated scoring system is sure to bring up some shock results. So without further ado, let the countdown begin. 30th place goes to India, who should really count themselves lucky they were invited to the Beer Olympics. They have one of the lowest rates of beer drinking per capita in the world. However, they are the most populated country on earth, so they did manage to score well in a couple of the other events.
This tasty Indian appetizer is like onion rings on steroids. I've taken a little twist with pickling the red onions overnight in red wine vinegar, beer battered in a chickpea flour with classic Indian spices and fried until crispy. Served with an incredible combo of tamarind and mango chutney.
I'm going to pair this dish with a Berliner Weiss.
A sour beer style developed in the 1800s in Berlin, Germany. It is common for these beers to have added fruit, like this one that has mango nectar and tamarind pulp, creating a sweet, tangy and sour brew. It's an awesome pairing with the onion bhajis, and the chutney mirroring the flavours of the beer tops it off just nicely.
29th place goes to Bosnia. This tiny Balkan nation sure loves their beer, so it's no surprise they did well in the beer drinking per capita event.
Versions of this dish are popular throughout the Balkans, but the cevape is the national dish of Bosnia. It's commonly served with a roast capsicum sauce. I've gone with a 50-50 blend of lamb and beef mince, mixed with onion and garlic, pressed onto skewers and onto the grill to develop some smoky flavours until golden brown. These juicy meat skewers were banging.
I'll be pairing this beer snack with an extra pale ale.
Developed in the last 20 years in the US as a twist on the American Pale Ale. Like others of the style, this beer is a lighter colour and has plenty of tropical hop flavours. The bitterness helps cut through the richness of the smoky grilled minced meat.
28th place goes to Slovenia, another Balkan beer-loving country, this time with a slightly better performance in the all-important beer drinking per capita event.
This flatbread is a common Balkan dish and particularly loved in Slovenia. Water, sugar and yeast are mixed into flour and kneaded. After resting for 20 minutes, spread the dough out on a tray and make some incisions. Then brush with egg wash and sprinkle with caraway seeds.
I'm pairing this beer snack with a barley wine.
A style invented in England in the 1800s and gained its name for being as strong as wine but made of barley. This beer has been aged in bourbon and oak barrels and is a massive 14.7% alcohol. So like all barley wines, it is created to be sipped. The complex flavours of this beer are soaked up by the tasty flatbread.
In 27th place is Luxembourg. This tiny country is wedged between beer drinking giants Germany and Belgium, so it's no wonder they did well in the all-important beer drinking per capita event.
These fritters are a beloved snack in Luxembourg, usually just containing potato. I've added turnip to mine. Then combine the grated potato and turnip with parsley, flour, onion and egg. Press them into little balls and fried until golden brown, then served up with fresh chives and sour cream.
I'm pairing this beer snack with an amber ale.
This style was developed in the 1800s in England as a variation of the British Pale Ale. This one is a Belgian style, hence it's stronger in alcohol than usual at 8.5%. It has fruity aromas, a nice maltiness, and a peppery yeast characteristic. It's a perfect beer to cut through the starchiness of the potato and turnip fritters.
26th place goes to France. More famous for their love of drinking wine, the French performed well in the less important categories of total beer consumption and production.
This beer snack is a take on the famous French sandwich, the croque monsieur. Sliced ham is mixed with parsley, Dijon mustard, mayonnaise and parmesan. Puff pastry is cut into little squares, stuffed into a muffin tin, and then baked in the air fryer until nice and crispy. These bad boys were such a delight.
I'm pairing this beer snack with a bière de gare.
A French beer that, along with the Belgian saison, make up the style known as farmhouse ale. A style brewed exclusively on farms and brewed seasonally in the cooler months, using wild and natural fermenting yeasts. This beer was a bit of a twist with its stunning ruby red colour and a rich caramel maltiness. It paired super well with the richness of the cheese and the ham croque monsieur bites.
25th place goes to Bulgaria. Nestled on the Black Sea and the Balkans, the Bulgarians certainly enjoy their beer, and they had an excellent performance in the beer drinking per capita event.
These fried stuffed peppers are a popular appetizer in Bulgaria. Feta, ricotta and parmesan are mixed together before chopping the heads off these little peppers and stuffing them with the cheese mix. These peppers are usually roasted, so perhaps that's why the egg wash and crumbs weren't sticking. Although they didn't look pretty, they still tasted good.
I'm pairing this beer snack with a black IPA.
A new style of beer developed in the last 20 to 30 years in the US craft beer scene. This is a double at 7.5%, and true to style, it's packed with resinous hops, has a toasty malt backbone and a chocolatey finish. It complements the sweet and savoury notes of the fried capsicum really nicely.
24th place goes to Colombia. These South Americans sure do know how to knock back a beer or two, and they performed well in the categories of total beer consumption and production.
Grilled corn is a staple street food snack in South America, in particular Colombia. I've gone with the more bite-sized corn ribs, cutting the corn into smaller pieces and tossing it in paprika, cumin and chili powder. Then onto the grill until it gets a nice char on it. Served with fresh coriander and drenched in lime juice.
Pairing this beer snack with a Californian IPA.
Only developed in the last few years as a variation on the classic West Coast IPA, being lighter in colour and less malty, allowing the hops to shine even more. This beer has a light straw colour and gorgeous aromas of stone fruit and berry from the mosaic hops. It's certainly a refreshing pairing with the smoky grilled corn ribs.
23rd place goes to South Africa. The African beer drinking giants had very strong results in the events of total beer consumption and total beer production.
These meat skewers are a favourite at a South African braai. I went with lamb instead of chicken and added capsicum, onion, garlic, apricot jam and plenty of spices, then mixed with a bit of olive oil. I whacked them on some skewers with dried apricots that had been soaked in water. I slow cooked them on the grill to render down some of the lamb fat.
I'm pairing this beer snack with a New England IPA.
which was developed in Vermont, USA, just 20 years ago. True to style, this beer has punchy tropical aromas and has a super hazy appearance, giving it a creamy mouthfeel. It's pretty much like drinking a glass of fruit juice. It's a terrific pairing with the savouriness of the lamb solstice with its sweet apricot glaze.
22nd place goes to Latvia. This Baltic country has a rich history of brewing, so it's no surprise they had an excellent result in the beer drinking per capita event.
This Latvian cheese is especially popular during their summer solstice festival. Milk and cottage cheese are heated in a saucepan for 20 minutes before adding a mix of egg, butter and caraway seeds, then placed in a cheesecloth to set overnight. This delicious cheese is best served with some traditional dark Latvian rye bread.
I'll be pairing this beer snack with a Baltic porter.
Developed as a variation of the English porter in the late 1700s. The Baltic porter uses a lager yeast, giving it a cleaner, crisper profile. It generally has a higher ABV, like this one at 11%. This Baltic porter was brewed by my dear Latvian friends at the Robetown Brewery here in South Australia. It uses a massive 12 different specialty malts and was made to celebrate the brewery's 10th anniversary. It complements the creaminess and mild flavour of the Latvian cheese with the added spice of the caraway seed.
21st place goes to Belgium. A shock result. With Belgium a medal contender coming into the beer drinking Olympics, they've failed to make the top 20. Perhaps it does have something to do with the fact that the Belgians prefer higher alcohol beer, more full of flavour, the type of beer that's meant to be enjoyed. So they didn't fare as well as they would have hoped in the beer drinking per capita event.
Mussels and fries, a classic Belgian pub dish. I decided to go with some crinkle cut sweet potato chips, tossed in paprika, onion and garlic powder. Garlic and shallots are sautéed in olive oil, then added with a splash of Cooper's Pale Ale and finished with a big chunk of butter.
I'll be pairing this beer snack with a Belgium quadruple,
which is a stronger version of the Belgian Trappist double and triple beers, brewed by monks since the 1800s. To this beer, raisins were added to intensify the dried fruit characteristics. Making it even more special, it was aged for 5 months in sherry-aged whiskey barrels. It pairs exceptionally well with the hearty dish of mussels and sweet potato fries.
20th place goes to Lithuania. This Baltic country wedged between Latvia and Poland. It's no surprise that the Lithuanians love their beer, and they performed outstandingly in the beer drinking per capita event.
Fried bread is the favourite beer pairing of Lithuania. A simple snack to create. Just cut the rye bread into fingers, fry in vegetable oil and top with grated parmesan. It's even better when rubbed with fresh garlic.
I'm pairing this beer snack with a Doppelbock,
which was invented by Bavarian monks in the 1600s. A double-strength version of the standard bock developed 300 years earlier. Doppelbock is a dark lager with a complex malt profile, often known as liquid bread, and this version of the beer is exactly that. So I've paired it with the super crunchy fried bread.
19th place goes to Vietnam. These Asian giants cracked the top 10 in both the total beer production and total beer consumption events.
These pork skewers can be found grilling on street corners across Vietnam. Chopped lemongrass and shallots along with brown sugar and fish sauce are mixed into the pork mince, pressed onto skewers and placed over hot charcoals, creating a flavour-packed dish.
I'm pairing this beer snack with a Kolsch.
Invented in Cologne, Germany in the early 1900s. This style is the ultimate hybrid, using top fermenting yeast, creating fruity esters and a fuller flavour like other ales, but also having cold conditioning phase like a lager, giving it a clean and crisp flavour. This beer is true to style, but with the addition of lemongrass to give it a real Asian vibe. It pairs so perfectly with the citrusy lemongrass and smokiness of the grilled pork.
Eighteenth place is Iceland. This Nordic country is known to be one of the most beautiful on the planet, and they love drinking beer up there, ranking them very highly in the beer drinking per capita event.
These fish cakes are a crowd favourite in Iceland. White fish are pulsed in the food processor. I've gone with the local flathead fish, then coated in egg and flour, fried until golden brown, finished with a sprinkling of dill and some lemon zest.
I'm pairing this snack with a Scandinavian stout.
Developed in the late 1800s as a variation of the English stout. Like many Scandinavian stouts, this beer has fruity esters and spicy notes from the use of the Norwegian Kveik yeast to go with its malty flavours. It contrasts well with the savoury flavours of the fish bowls.
In 17th place is Gabon. An absolute minnow of the beer drinking Olympics has come from nowhere to crack into the top 20. This thirsty African nation managed to reach the top 10 of the beer drinking per capita event.
Nyambi chicken is the national dish of Gabon. I combined tomato, onion and garlic with red palm oil and peanut butter, then smoked the seasoned chicken wings on the grill until nice and crispy. Then tossing them in the rich, savoury sauce.
I'm pairing this beer snack with a brown ale.
A style invented in England in the 1600s. This is an American brown ale, which is hoppier and malty than its English counterpart. It blends gentle roasted chalk malt flavours with piney, aromatic hops. The nuttiness of the beer pairs nicely with the chicken's peanut butter sauce.
16th place goes to Japan. We all know the Japanese love a party, and they'll be having a big one after getting great results in the total beer consumption and beer production events.
Edamame is the king of beer snacks across the bars of Japan. The young soybeans are dried with paper towel, then prepared a sauce of sesame oil, soy sauce, brown sugar, garlic and chili flakes. The edamame are cooked in a fry pan before tossing them in the spicy sauce.
I'm pairing this beer snack with a kettle sour.
This souring method developed in the 1800s to create a quicker and more predictable souring process by adding lactic acid bacteria. Before that, all beers were naturally soured using wild bacteria and yeast. Like many kettle sours, this has the addition of fruit with the plum and yuzu to create a sweet, tart and citrus flavour bomb. This beer pairs so nicely with the spicy notes of the crispy edamame.
In 15th place is Croatia. You can imagine the Croatians would enjoy a beer or two looking out over the Adriatic Sea. This has put them in good stead for the beer drinking per capita event, where they had an excellent result.
Grilled calamari is a popular beer snack, particularly on the coast of Croatia. I got these beautiful whole calamari from the local fish shop, opened them up and scored the inside, then made a marinade of olive oil, lemon juice and chili flakes, then tossing them on the charcoal grill. However, I would have liked to have got some more char on them.
I'm going to pair this beer snack with a summer ale.
A style developed in California in the 1980s. True to the style, this beer is super refreshing with a beautiful golden colour and plenty of hop aromas of melon and mango. The summer vibes of the beer are matched with the not so charred calamari hot off the grill.
14th place goes to Australia. If this was the 1970s, Australia would have been a red hot medal chance, with only Germany consuming more beer than them per capita. However, these Olympics, Australia has scored a little more modestly in most events.
Australia might not have many of their own beer snacks, but they do have incredible seafood and flavour-packed native ingredients. I attempted shucking oysters for the first time and only cut myself once. I placed the Coffin Bay oysters on a bed of rock salt and dressed the tray with some native succulents, then garnished them with some vibrant pink native finger limes.
I'm pairing this beer snack with a sparkling ale.
A style invented by Cooper's Brewery here in South Australia in the 1800s. It is a lighter, more carbonated version of the British Pale Ale, perfect for the warm Australian climate. This beer is a twist on the original style with the addition of fruity New Zealand hops and juniper botanicals. The added complexity of the beer makes a refreshing pairing with the oysters and the citrus hit of the native finger limes.
13th place goes to Russia. The Russians' total consumption of beer is more than most every other country on earth. But their preference for vodka over beer may have affected their results in the crucial beer drinking per capita event.
Apparently Russians are crazy for watermelons and love to ferment them. I cut a whole watermelon into small slices, then stuffed them in a jar and filled it with salty water, finally adding dill, peppercorns and fresh garlic. After a week it was ready to try. It was tasty but verging on too garlicky by this point.
I'm pairing this beer snack with a goza,
which was invented all the way back in the 1200s in Goslar, Germany. This beer has the characteristics of a traditional Gose with its tartness and addition of salt. However, it has a twist with the use of pickled pineapple brine that pairs perfectly with the fermented watermelon, like they were always meant to be together.
12th place goes to China. With 1.5 billion Chinese people, it's no surprise that there's no country that produces more or consumes more beer on planet Earth. But when you think of China, you don't really think of beer, so their results in 12th place is really quite flattering.
This crispy fried eggplant is a delightful beer snack. Chopped eggplant is salted, then left to dry out. Cooper's Lager is added to the beer batter. Garlic, ginger, spring onions, soy sauce, black vinegar and Sichuan chili bean paste are made into a sauce. The eggplant is dipped in the beer batter, fried and served with the sticky umami-packed sauce.
I'm pairing this beer snack with a rice lager.
Although invented in Japan in the 1800s, rice lager is incredibly popular in China, particularly Snow Lager, the biggest selling beer in the world. Like all beers of this style, the addition of rice creates another level of light crispiness. Although this beer is a bit different with its use of darker malts to create a toasty smoothness of rich caramel notes with a nutty finish. This pairs very well with the spicy and umami fried eggplant.
11th place goes to the UK. They were amongst the medal favourites coming into the beer drinking Olympics, so it is a surprise that they failed to reach the top 10. I guess the Brits' beer drinking prowess ain't what it used to be.
These classic British sausage rolls are a tasty treat. Add red onion, fennel seeds, eggs and breadcrumbs to pork mince. Form the mix into long sausages, wrap in puff pastry and cut into bite-sized pieces. Bake in the air fry until golden brown. I serve them with my mum's delicious tomato chutney.
I'm going to pair this beer snack with an extra special bitter,
which is a variation of the English bitter and pale ale beers that were developed in the 1700s. The Brits invented new methods of roasting malts to achieve more even results, allowing them to brew lighter coloured beers. Hence the name pale ale, which is actually not that pale for today's standards. Just like the extra special bitter is not that bitter. This one has all the hallmarks of the classic style. It has a strong malty sweetness, a lovely amber colour, and earthy but not overpowering hop flavours. This beer pairs really well with the bold, zesty fennel seeds, flake pastry, and savoury meat fillings of the sausage rolls.
10th place goes to Austria. They managed to outdrink their German big brothers per capita, which is an incredible feat. That alone should have put them in medal contention. Unfortunately, their small population didn't allow them to compete well in some of the other events.
This juicy fried chicken was irresistible. Instead of serving with a regular lemon wedge, I decided to make conserved lemons. Cut them into thin slices and placed them in a jar, then added salt, sugar, and filled with olive oil. The chicken is seasoned before dunking in flour, then egg wash and breadcrumbs. Frying the chicken until golden brown and serving up with cranberry sauce and the week-old conserved lemons.
I'm going to pair this beer snack with a Vienna lager,
a style developed in the 1800s and inspired by the British Pale Ale with its lighter colour and maltier finish than the usual beers of the time. This beer is a gorgeous copper colour, has a smooth malt body, nuttiness and a nice dry finish. The pairing with the crispy and juicy fried chicken is a match made in heaven.
9th place goes to Romania. Punching well above their weight to rocket into the top 10, a super effort for such a small country.
Romanians love their cabbage. I've taken the core out of a whole purple cabbage, added salt and water and let it ferment in a bucket for a week. Then added parsley and dill to pork mince, mixed it together and wrapped it in my fermented cabbage leaves. These are placed in a frying pan and cooked in some passata.
I'm pairing this beer snack with a red ale,
which has its roots in Ireland since the 1700s, but has been revitalised in the modern craft beer world using fruity hops. This beer is a session at just 4.5% with a delicious caramel malt base and hoppy fruitiness. It pairs nicely with the savoury flavours of the cabbage roll and its rich meat filling.
8th place goes to Brazil. All the practice sipping beers on the beach has paid off for the South American beer drinking kings, performing very impressively in all events.
The indulgent torresmo is a staple in the botecos of Brazil. The pork belly pieces are boiled until tender, then fried until crunchy. These fatty delights are best served sprinkled with salt and drenched in lime juice.
I'm going to pair this beer snack with a hazy IPA,
a style that has spawned from the popularity of the New England IPA in the last decade. The Brazilian craft beer scene is dominated by hazy juice bombs, and luckily for me, my local brewery, Pirate Life here in Port Adelaide, are masters at creating big hoppy brews. This beer is a double at 8%, has delicious aromas of tropical fruit and resinous pine, and a well-rounded bitterness. It is a tasty pairing with the fattiness of the fried pork belly, balanced out with the wonderful ripe stone fruit flavours of the beer.
7th place goes to Mexico, a country that exports more beer than anyone on earth, bringing their Mexican lager to the world. Their massive population helped them perform very strongly in most events.
Crispy fried taquitos are a beloved snack in Mexico. I'm stuffing them with grilled flank steak and fresh jalapenos. The beef cooks over charcoal to add a touch of smoky flavour, then mixed with some grated cheese and the peppers and wrapped in corn tortillas. Finally fried until crunchy and golden.
I'll be pairing this beer snack with a Mexican lager,
which began its life as a Vienna lager brought to Mexico by Austrian immigrants in the 1800s. This style has morphed into a clean, pale lager that often uses corn to enhance its crispiness. This Mexican lager is crafted with far more love than the standard big breweries and is a natural pairing with big flavors of Mexican food.
6th place goes to Ireland. The Irish drink the second most beer per capita on earth. This alone should have guaranteed them a medal at this beer drinking Olympics. However, their small population disadvantaged them in some of the other events.
Ireland is well known for their fondness of potatoes, so I've gone with the king of beer snacks, potato chips. These thinly sliced potatoes are rinsed in water to remove the starch, then fried until golden brown. They are then seasoned with onion powder, fresh parmesan, and a sprinkle of fresh chives.
I'm pairing this beer snack with an Irish stout,
which was developed in the 1800s as a variation of the English porter. This beer has all the characteristics of a good stout, with roasted coffee and chocolate notes, a creamy head and a satisfying dry finish. The savoury and tangy notes of the cheese and onion chips make a perfect pairing.
5th place goes to Spain, who performed at a high level in all events. I guess it's no surprise when we all know that beer and tapas go hand in hand.
This classic Spanish tapas recipe uses local king prawns that are pan-fried in olive oil, garlic and chili flakes. Serve with a good squeeze of lemon juice and some parsley.
I'm pairing this beer snack with a Pacific Ale,
a style invented in Byron Bay, Australia just 15 years ago. This Pacific Ale is the original and the best, showcasing Australia's famous Galaxy hops. It pairs sensationally with the garlic prawns, complemented by the big tropical flavours and aromas of the beer.
4th place goes to the Czech Republic. Unlucky to miss out on a medal, as no country drinks more beer per capita than the Czechs. If only they had a bit of a larger population, they would have dominated all events.
This Czech marinated cheese contains onion, garlic, chili and rosemary marinated in oil for at least 3 days, creating a rich and flavoursome pub snack that goes great with a slice of rye bread.
I'm going to pair this beer snack with a Pilsner,
the world's most popular beer style and first ever pale lager, invented in Pilsen, Czech Republic in the 1800s. This beer is true to style, clean and crisp with a herbal aroma from the Saaz hops. It pairs sensationally, cutting through some of the richness of the marinated camembert cheese.
The bronze medal goes to Poland. In 3rd place, the Poles are an unlikely hero, reaching the podium of the beer drinking Olympics, coming from nowhere to edge out 6 of their 7 neighbouring countries in beer's heartland. Well done, Poland!
These Polish dumplings can be stuffed with almost anything. I've gone with some fermented red cabbage and mushrooms. Combining flour, salt, egg and warm water to create a dough. I then rolled it out with my trusty beer bottle and cut it into circles using a wine glass. The dough is then stuffed with my mushroom and cabbage mix before being boiled and finally fried until crispy golden brown.
I'm going to pair this beer snack with a porter.
which is a traditional English dark ale brewed since the 1700s. This porter is more of a light brown colour than the usual dark brown or black. It's a modern take on the style using crushed almonds, cocoa nibs, and lactose for a creamy, roasty, choc nut beer experience. This beer pairs well with the earthiness of the mushroom pierogies, adding another layer of umami goodness.
The silver medal goes to the USA in second place. These giants of the beer world performed at a high level in most events. No country has done more to contribute to the modern beer culture than the Americans. Well done, USA.
Usually a deep-fried American bar snack, these bad boys are even better with a smoky grilled touch. Cream cheese, parmesan and spices are mixed, then stuffed into the jalapenos. Wrapped in bacon, tossed on the grill, and finally brushed with some barbecue sauce.
I'll be pairing this beer snack with an American Pale Ale.
One of my favourite beer styles that was developed in the 1970s as a twist on the British Pale Ale. This beer is the perfect balance of rich, biscuity and caramel malts with fruity citrus flavoured hops. It pairs well with almost anything, but is a particular smash hit with the savoury richness of these bacon-wrapped jalapeno poppers.
And the gold medal goes to Germany in first place. The beer drinking powerhouse and their good old-fashioned German consistency had them ranking highly in every event. Congratulations, Germany, and thank you for bringing us so many amazing beer styles.
Instead of the twisted beer garden variety, I've gone with the bite-sized version of the pretzel. Water, sugar, salt and yeast are combined with flour. The dough is cut into small pieces, boiled in baking soda, then baked until golden brown. Serve with a Bavarian cheese spread consisting of chives, red onion, cream cheese, camembert and a splash of beer.
I'll be pairing this beer snack with a Dunkel.
A traditional German bottom fermented dark lager brewed in Munich since the 1500s. This beer is super smooth, very malt forward and biscuity with hints of caramel, chocolate and a light hop bitterness. It pairs really well with the doughiness and fluffy texture of the pretzel bites. Congratulations once again to Germany, the champions of the inaugural beer drinking Olympics.